An earthquake is a natural phenomenon that occurs when the ground suddenly and violently shakes due to the release of energy stored within the Earth's crust. Earthquakes are caused by the movement of tectonic plates, which are large pieces of the Earth's lithosphere that move and interact with one another. When the forces acting on these plates become too great, they can slip suddenly, releasing energy in the form of seismic waves that travel through the Earth's crust and cause the ground to shake. In areas that are prone to earthquakes, the potential for damage and loss of life is high, especially in heavily populated cities where many people live in tall buildings and other structures that can be vulnerable to the effects of seismic activity. This is why it is important for governments to take a comprehensive approach to earthquake preparedness and response. To reduce the impact of earthquakes, governments can implement several key precautions. 1. Building codes. Governments can enforce building codes that require buildings to be constructed in a way that can withstand seismic activity. This can include design features such as reinforcing walls and foundations, using seismic-resistant materials, and implementing structural systems that can absorb the energy of seismic waves. 2. Land use planning. Governments can also regulate land use planning in areas that are at high risk for earthquakes, to minimize the potential for damage and loss of life. This can include avoiding construction in areas that are likely to be affected by landslides or other types of seismic-related ground failure, as well as requiring structures to be set back from active faults. 3. Emergency response planning. Governments can also develop and implement comprehensive emergency response plans that include evacuation procedures, search and rescue efforts, and medical treatment for injured individuals. This can include establishing evacuation routes, stockpiling supplies and equipment, and training first responders in search and rescue techniques. 4. Public education and awareness. Governments can also educate the public about the risks of earthquakes and what they can do to prepare and protect themselves. This can include providing information on how to prepare an emergency kit, how to secure heavy objects in the home, and what to do during an earthquake. 5. Early warning systems. Governments can invest in early warning systems that can detect earthquakes and provide critical seconds or minutes of warning before shaking begins. This can allow people to evacuate or take cover, reducing the potential for injury or death. 6. Investment in research. Governments can also invest in research to better understand earthquakes, their causes, and how to predict and mitigate their impact. This can include funding studies of seismic activity, developing new technologies for monitoring earthquakes, and improving building codes and emergency response plans. In conclusion, earthquakes are a natural phenomenon that can have a devastating impact on communities. However, by taking a comprehensive approach to earthquake preparedness and response, governments can help to reduce the damage and loss of life from earthquakes, and ensure that communities are better prepared for the next seismic event.
Write your questions in the comments. See you in the next video.